So, recently I released a video redesigning the Volvo EX90 interior, because for me, it just looked bad, and it reminded me of a car in a bad way. There's one brand that I would never want to own, and that's Tesla. Not to mention that their cars are not great in terms of quality, and I don't like their CEO, Elon Musk, which is close to a scam artist. But when it comes to their cars, their interiors are probably one of the worst, especially for the price that you're paying when it comes to said car. Now, there are some issues that I have with it, apart from, of course, a display that is just floating there with that double-sided tape that, again, we see a lot in current cars. But it's also the steering wheel for a lot of cars that just look cheap, look like a sim racing steering wheel, and just don't look like top quality at all, especially for the price that you are paying. And don't even get me started on the yoke. The stupidity of that goes beyond me, and I know people find it cool, but really, it's dumb. It's not a good steering wheel at all. Heck, I would even call it unsafe in certain situations. Either way, today's challenge is to redesign a Tesla interior, as in terms of trying to make something look like the Tesla interior, but then still upgrade it in a sense, where I feel like this looks better. Now, this is not necessarily easy, because I'm trying to do something completely different from what they currently have, to also have something where it somewhat has elements of what we know from Tesla. Apart from the steering wheel, I will try to redo that entirely, because, well, steering wheels are also important in terms of design, and Teslas, like stated, are the worst. Either way, let's dive into it, and let's talk about points that I find important when it comes to the Tesla interior that I simply don't like and look cheap. So, for this example, we are looking at the Tesla Model 3 interior, and, well, there's a lot to say about it. Now, of course, what I said in the Volvo EX90 video is that I don't like these floating double-sided DIY looking displays just attached to, well, the dashboard itself. It looks not connected by anything. This just goes that way, this moves up that way, but this isn't connected to, for instance, here. This isn't connected to what is going on right here as well, and it looks weird. I don't like this. It just feels so disconnected. Then, as stated as well at the intro, is that I don't like their steering wheels. These buttons are awful. They just look awful. They look very cheap. Not to mention just the general shape of it looks very cheap, with this cheap looking plastic right here as well for these accents that you have on the steering wheel right here. Now, the only thing I like about them is the Tesla logo right there. That is actually perfectly fine by me, and having these little different dents in there as well. That's perfectly fine by me. It's better than cutting off this and call it a yoke. Either way, when it comes to the Tesla interior, those are the main gripes that I have with it. So I'm going to try to create a completely new steering wheel while keeping it in that futuristic look, because people seem to like that. I'm going to try to keep a large display, not of course necessarily having this horizontal look that you have here with the Tesla Model 3, but maybe have it more integrated in terms of shape itself. But when it comes to it, yeah, there is definitely some work needed. Now, the focus again is the dashboard, and of course this center console, everything around it, and also a little bit on the steering wheel, but not the doors itself. I find doors important, but I kind of want to focus on what you are mostly seeing when driving. This is why I find Tesla interior models horrible. They look bad. They look very tacky and all that stuff. I don't like it when it comes to a car interior. It needs to be homely, it needs to be well designed, and of course, it needs to look proper and actually, well, you know, with some character and soul and heart put into designing it. This simply looks like a DIY. Either way, let's showcase the 3D animation and the 3D model itself to showcase what I have done with the interior. Now again, I'm still relatively new when it comes to modeling car interiors, so it takes a little bit of time to get the feel for it, but hopefully you can see past those imperfections when it comes to modeling interiors and see what my vision is when it comes to the car interior. Either way, let's jump into the 3D part. So, at the beginning, I was thinking of a very different way of making the interior of the Teslas. A display that is curved, leading from, of course, the top of the dash to down where you will now find that audio and AC control unit. But I decided against it. It looked too smooth for a Tesla interior and I need more harder lines. And this is how the design came to be. Retaining a bit of those harder lines, which of course are known with Tesla, while making big changes in terms of the display integration and of course the steering wheel itself. Now, that was one of the challenges itself, so let's talk about it. The steering wheel itself, with my idea of creating this sophisticated look while retaining also a bit of a more futuristic look that people seem to think Tesla has. So therefore I created a floating like effect with the side controls that are of course lighting up when you use them, hidden right now under the wooden texture. I also gave it the possibility to simply be different textures like glass, or something else that looks really nice in terms of contrast. A small detail around the steering wheel itself can give that illusion of that part actually floating, making that center look disconnected while it is connected in reality. Again, trying to give this more of a futuristic look. Now let's talk about the button that I somewhat did for the Volvo as well with this multi-control. Press down and you control the airco. Press down again and you can control the audio volume. For your heated seats, you can slide your finger over those white lines panels next to it. It simply allows you to control the heat itself a little bit more delicately. With next to those two, having 4 dedicated buttons for things like auto climate control and more. And of course, behind the whole display area, you have a small part where you can store things like your phone, charging it wirelessly. Something I kind of stole from Volvo from their previous generation because it just makes sense using that area, allowing in front of it to have ample of storage as well, with a general larger free space area for either storage or cup holders. And of course, just like I stated with the Volvo EX90 interior, the speedometer needs a home. So I got a home for this one as well. But in basic, this was my redesign of the Tesla interior. Again, I would say I couldn't fully replicate what I had in my head in terms of vision, but I still hope that you like it. And you can tell me by liking this video and of course commenting below what you would like to see differently, or disliking it, which no one can see anymore, but you get the drift. Maybe this will be a reality sooner than that Tesla pickup, or the Roadster, or going to Mars with SpaceX. Either way, hope you enjoyed this video, and of course let me know what you think about the interior itself, and the next one will probably be sub. Anyway, have a good one and talk to you guys in the next.